Okay, folks, we're back, and you know what? We're on the home stretch with the Chev. There's a few things left to do. First off, I gotta replace this fuel rail because I busted the valve off here a little while ago when I was trying to do a bolt up back there. Our fuel pressure valve was on there, so I need to pull that off. I did some scrounging and some searching, and I managed to track down one OEM, relatively fair price, not as expensive as I thought. I could have upgraded to the other guys, but we're on a budget and they were a lot more expensive than this. So I'm going to pull everything off, put this new one on, and then we are hooked back up and we can run again. The other things that we have to do too, got to get an air filter, got to get our hoses for our coolant hooked up, then got to get a belt as well. Once we've got those things, then we're all set. Bit of random luck. I did not want to take that fuel rail off. I was just annoyed with it, and I was annoyed with myself for breaking it. But there was something that we had forgotten to put on before we put the engine all together, and I needed to add that, and I would have had to take the fuel rail off anyway, and I didn't realize it, or I would have had to take the alternator bracket off. Have to install this steam line, which, of course, is in the best place imaginable. I'm going to be lazy and try and see. Oh, I can't get in there. The block off is right down there. So I have to try to get that out. And there we go. You can see it right down there. It's on. I was wrong. I didn't need to remove the bracket. I just had to move the alternator. So that's what I did. Other side is on as well. There's a piece that still has to go in here, but don't need to do that right away. The only thing I have found with this kit that's a little bit odd is the fact that like this hose is really stiff. So it made it super tough to get this on. I mean, obviously it's with it being an aluminum head, I don't want to strip anything out. So that's what I'm going to do is get this old guy apart, pull this off here, put it on the new one, and then start putting it back in. Fuel rail is done, and I took the time to make a list of various things that need to be done before we start the car again. So I'm going to start with one of the bigger items on my list. I'm going to trim down these guys here. That way we can actually move the tires when we have to turn. And there you have it, all done. Tires will be able to move now. Next up, I think I'm gonna put the rear axles back in. We took these apart, well, we took the rear end apart. Oh man, it has to have been at least a year ago. I don't know why these sat out. I cleaned these all up, gave them some grease, and now it's just a matter of getting everything lined up and playing around to get it in properly. Takes a little bit of... There we go. And in. Got my bolts over here. Clean them all up on the wire wheel. One bolted up. Whoosh. Two bolted up. And another thing to check off the list. Now it is fuel gauge time. We do have one in the car currently, but it does not work. That is an oldie that we had found in a box of gauges that we had. We were kind of hoping that it would do the trick, but that wasn't the case. So get this guy unpackaged. I am upgrading all of our bulbs with these nice LED guys here. I still have to do the ones that are in the dashboard. I haven't gotten to that point yet. Maybe I'll do those at the same time that I install the fuel gauge. All right, we're continuing on down the list. So what have I got here? Number one, I've got overflow for my rad. It's got all the brackets that I need. It comes with this hose, but apparently you're not supposed to use that hose because it melts at high temperatures. So I'm going to have to find another one. I'm sure I've got something kicking around here, or I will just go and buy something. I've also got some connectors for the winch for the front and the back. And I picked up this guy here, which is an air filter. And then, of course, one of my less favorite things, throwing in some starter shims, or a starter shim, I guess I'll say. A little bit of a clickety clack when we're trying to turn the car over. Got it on. You can see we've got just enough space there to miss everything. I think it looks pretty good, and it completes the engine. Catch can is next. I'm gonna mount it somewhere over here. So this thing came with 2 brackets. I don't think it's supposed to be set up this way, but the way that the car is set up, I need to just use it in this configuration. Gonna mount it right here, and hopefully it doesn't move around because it's just a big ring like this that holds it in place. And if I have any problems, I can always adjust things later on. So, gonna get my self-tappers out, a couple of washers if I can find them, and mount that up. All installed. Flip the bracket around, made more sense for the L to be pointing up so that I can put my clamp in that way. I'm not a huge fan of what it looks like, so I may do some modifications, but for the time being, it's in place. It doesn't look like it'll be going anywhere. It's a little bouncy. Most overflow cans probably aren't, but it'll do the job for us to get it started up and get some fluid in there. Down the road, when I've got a little bit more time, I will probably do a redesign of some sort, but for the 20 bucks that it cost, I think that it's going to work just fine for the time being. Sometimes you think you have something done, and it turns out it's just not going to work. And that was what ended up happening with our air intake. So I'm going to have to make some modifications. The reason for that is because I was having a really tough time running the hose for the coolant. So we had this guy sticking out here and it just barely fit. Sat very low, which made it really difficult to run anything beneath. So this is going to probably need some trimming when the time comes, but I just stuck that on for the hell of it for now and to give us an idea of how we're going to run things. Got a 90 degree, I think. What do we got in here? A couple more 90 degrees because, well, we're going to need them. Then got some straight silicone. I don't know if that's going to do the trick or not. And then I've got these connectors. So lots of stuff. I think I forgot some hose clamps. So now it's just going to be a matter of piecing stuff together over here. So I've got it all assembled. Get my clamps on there. The only issue we have, like I was saying earlier, is I might have to shorten this down a little bit because it just makes a tiny bit of contact. You can kind of see here. That actually came together a lot easier than I thought. I still have to figure out the bottom here, but I do have a piece of just conventional coolant hose kicking around over on the work desk. Not as big a challenge as this, although this wasn't as much of a challenge as I thought.
Hello. Trying to find center spacers, not wheel spacers, but center spacers, so my turbine rims that I've got for the Ford actually, or Merc I guess, will go on. Because there's a little bit of gap between the center of the hub and the center of the wheel.
So this guy is pretty much buttoned up in the engine department here. We're gonna have to take this off. Oh, yes, that's right. So one thing we have, that's easy though. So that's got to pop off. So now you've seen it before, but we're going to do it again. We're going to fire it up and let it run for a bit. Hopefully there's no big kabooms. Got our fire extinguisher over there just in case.
Did we check the oil?
No, but we can do that. I might have to add some oil. I'm going to set
some height to my legs. Oh god. Oh. But this is transmission fluid.
Just got the door open. Going to put our big fan on to blow the exhaust out. And we're going to give it a whirl and see how things go. Okay, so we haven't tried it since I shimmed the starter, so I'm not sure what to expect.
Oh yeah, what the sound is going to be like?
Yeah.
It's not going to fire off right away anyway. I'm pretty sure this needs to be adjusted up here.
No, but just how it's going to turn.
Yep, no, it's already.
Are you ready?
Yep. Start right away.
Okay, what do you want to do?
Just let it run.
It's stalled itself.
Okay, yeah, it's gonna take a couple shots.
Okay. What do you think?
I don't know.
It just won't.
I don't know if it's the right amount of fuel pressure, because when you hit the gas, it stumbles. And now the fuel pressure is down to 20. Oh, you shut it off. Yeah. Leave it on. Leave it on. I just actually, leave it on. But then after I've got it running, come around here and tell me if the gauge is moving when we're leaving that.
Okay?
Yep. No. Don't turn the car off. Yeah, because it's at 55, and it's got to be between 60 and 70. Isn't it?
It said it was 100.
Great. No, I know, but it's got but it won't. I don't know why it's not pushing.
Okay, so here is where we're at. Run through things, Tim.
Well, so the positives are the oil leak out the back seems to be taken care of. Our injectors aren't leaking anymore. We got the tension figured out on our
Throttle?
Intake. Belts on, power steering. It's there. We ran out of fluid to fill it, and we're just about there. Rad is looking pretty good. It's looking pretty rad. And what's next, Mark? We are, I think, down a fuel pump because we're only making about 50 psi of pressure, and it needs to be making about 10 psi more.
And it's making a weird gurgly
And it's
sound.
making a weird sound. So it's either half on the way out or on the way out, and it's moving. Even if it moves a little, it shouldn't move. When you rev it, the pressure should be consistent. So I think that's the sign of a failing pump, which is honestly one of the best case scenarios, really.
Well, I'm happy we got over. You think
engine, I'm stoked it even started.
Yeah,
That's a big accomplishment for my first engine rebuild.
No, we'll
Stay together. Don't blow up.
We'll order up another pump, get that put in. Like even little things too. Like I figured I'd have to set the tach because it didn't work the last time. Tach works this time, so I guess that's good. Sometimes you have to pin them differently. Apparently, you have to set them at a different. I don't know if it's an ohm rating or something like that for a different cylinder type of engine. I was reading on some forums about that when I was looking tachs up.
As far as we know, the speedometer works because it hasn't moved.
That's right.
Stayed at 0, perfectly fine.
We're going to have to make up a cardboard checklist. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll do that before we leave. And pin it to the wall because we've got, brakes, seals in the front and rear end. Got to put the transmission in. Got to put the shifter in. Seat in. Drive shaft.
Yep.
Exhaust. And then it can move. There's a lot of little other cosmetic things, but I mean, that's not a big deal. If we can get it out on the road and take it for a rip, that's kind of where we're aiming for. So,
I think we need another shim in the starter too, because it's still going ping when it starts.
It's not as bad as it was, though.
No.
Okay, well, I have another shim somewhere. But tune in next time. We'll be up to something. Maybe an adventure, maybe more in this car, maybe more in this guy here. All right, folks, thanks for watching. Have a good one. See you next time.